Happy Monday and welcome to a surprisingly wet southern Nevada desert. The rain this time of year, just magnificent.
I love it for the greens and fairways, though, Brother Fortenbaugh.
Always about that golf game, this one. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh, and this is your Monday edition of Bet. How to bet the NFC North with the latest drama unfolding in the Aaron Rodgers situation with the Green Bay Packers. How to bet Team USA after that embarrassing loss to the French on Sunday. And how to bet running back and wide receiver props for the upcoming NFL season. Speaking of the NFL, we're covering the Chiefs and the Browns on Daily Wager today, 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. You can also check that stuff out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. I watched the entire triathlon yesterday of the Olympics.
And how'd that make you feel about your physical fitness?
I really wanted to buy one of those bikes, but I don't want to ride it. I just want to buy the bike. I'm watching this, and I got through the swim, and then when I was halfway through the bike, I looked at my wife. I'm like, push back the schedule. I'm pot committed to this thing. Hell of an event. All right, we begin every Monday with a little reaction or no action. That's where we'll begin today, and specifically within Major League Baseball. Reaction or no action, my friend. Currently riding their longest losing streak since 1972, which is a 12-game losing streak in which they've been outscored 80-20. The Texas Rangers will lose their 13th game in a row on Tuesday when they play the worst team in Major League Baseball, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
No action here.
No action.
No action here. I actually think they break the losing streak. They have a slight starting pitching advantage, and that's what I'm going to hold on to. That plus the fact that the D-backs 12-40 on the road this season.
Terrible.
12-40. This game, I'm being told,
Not
will be played in Texas. So advantage there for the Rangers. But Dane Dunning, 4.3 ERA, 1.42 whip versus Taylor Widener, 3.55 ERA, 1.24 whip. But dig a little deeper. The Sierra for Dunning, almost a half run lower at 3.87 to 4.41 for Taylor Widener. Higher K rate for Dunning, 24.1 to 22.8. And here's where you get into some bad luck. Batted ball, bad luck. The batting average on balls in play for Dane Dunning, 348 this season. For Taylor Widener, it's just 264. Now, 348 is astronomically high in a bad way. So against a bad offense like Arizona, I'll see some regression on balls that are put in play by the Diamondbacks offense. Now, if it was the Dodgers offense or the Blue Jays offense or the Boston Red Sox offense, fine, I'd be going at Dunning. Yeah. But an awful offense like Arizona will probably see some regression to that number for Dane Dunning specifically. So I think he can get the Texas Rangers out to a lead in this game. Question is, will they hold it? That's why I'm going to say no action.
A lot more math than I was prepared to listen to in that opening segment right there. There's numbers everywhere. All sounded very good. Not able to fact check any, but knowing you were on point. All right, I'm with you on this one. I'm going no action as well. Similar reasons. If you just break down Dunning's season pre-June and post-June, he has gotten better as the year has gone on for the Texas Rangers. 4.75 ERA pre-June, 3.72 ERA post-June. He's knocked a full run off of that ERA. So I guess that's something to get excited about when you've been outscored by 60 runs during your 12-game losing streak. I cannot get over that number. 60. You've been outscored by 60 runs. Not 60.
Hard to do.
Now, let's look at that losing streak. The first 2 losses came before the MLB All-Star break, all right? Now, the next 10 essentially came in 10 days. There was only 1 day off. It was right in the beginning. It was on a Saturday because of a rain out, so they played a doubleheader the next day. What I'm getting at is this team has had no break during almost all of this over the last week plus. I think today, when they're off, is going to be a big advantage for a team that has lost 12 games in a row. Get your head right, get organized, realize you're going to face the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are terrible. You can come out and you can try to knock some of the rust off, get the bats going, and to your point, Arizona's won 12 of their last 54 road games. Not good. Not good. You can't take them on the road. You can't take them anywhere the way they played this season. All right, let's stick with baseball. Reaction or no action. Currently 2 games back of the San Francisco Giants, and with Mookie Betts on the 10-day injured list with right hip inflammation, the Los Angeles Dodgers will not win the National League West.
No action here as well on the LA Dodgers, despite the fact that they are still sitting behind the San Francisco Giants, and they've had seemingly the worst possible injury luck all season long, Brother Fortenbaugh. with a 146 run differential.
Here come those numbers.
That's the best in Major League Baseball. Not just the National League, not just the National League West, They have the best run differential, which is a great predictive measure of how good your team actually is, especially over the course of a sample size that will be 162 games, as is Major League Baseball. So the fact that they have developed this run differential, with all of this adversity, it can only get better from here, you would think. So I will say no action. They'll get a little better second half injury luck, and they'll continue to build off what they did in the first half, which is rather surprising given everything they've had to deal with.
Great points. And Doug Kazarian, and almost everybody else on Daily Wager has agreed with that statement up until now. I'm finally ready to buy in on the Giants. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I'm going to do it today. I am going to react to this statement. The Giants are plus 225 to win the NL West, right? They're not slight favorites. They're reasonably big dogs here, plus 225. That is despite the best record in baseball through 99 games, the third best run differential through 99 games, and the second best team ERA through 99 games. It's not April. We're about to turn the calendar to August. These two have gone head-to-head in 13 games this year. Giants are 6-7. It's almost 500.
Okay.
That's not great,
No.
but they've done what they've needed to do. When they've stepped up against the Dodgers, they have performed close to average in those games. I think with Posey, with Crawford, and Belt, three guys who were around for 2010, 2012, 2014, even year, all that stuff they talk about up in the Bay. They're going to be there to guide the younger, more inexperienced guys through the dog days and through the crucial months. We keep saying that the Dodgers are going to come back and get this thing done, yet they're not making any progress. Betts is hurt. The injuries continue to mount up. What's happening with Trevor Bauer? You're right.
Yeah.
At some point, it should turn around. But we've been saying that since May. Now we're in late July, and it hasn't turned around. I think it's time to finally get ready to buy in on the Giants. Why do we have so much trouble believing what our eyes show us? We didn't want to believe in the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. We didn't want to believe in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, despite the fact that they kept winning games late. Why do we struggle so much?
I'll say this. Both things can be true. I believe in the Giants. I think they are real. I think they're going to be a postseason team. They have shown that now for not just a small sample size, but for 3 months of a regular season.
Yes.
But I also can think that the Dodgers are better than them if they get some positive regression in terms of luck.
It's amazing to think that they need luck to improve upon the best run differential in baseball. They've really had a bad break. They have the number one run differential in baseball. But you're right. They have had a bunch of bad breaks, and they still have the best run differential in baseball. All right. Bear with me on this one. It's been a roller coaster of a week when it comes to futures odds for the NFC North. Now, here's how this is shaken down. I want you to take a look at this graphic, depending upon who's been the favorite and who's been the dog. When it all opened, Green Bay, minus 270, no surprise there. They were hosting the NFC Championship game. Last Friday, there was a pretty dramatic move down to minus 135 as more and more people continued to back the Vikings, given the Aaron Rodgers drama. This morning, the Packers suddenly were plus money at plus 140 because of the reports that came out over the weekend that Aaron Rodgers might be set to retire as early as this week. And then another switchola currently as the Packers move back into the odds-on favorite role because now the report's out that Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing for the Green Bay Packers this year. It's all very
who do we believe?
General Hospital. I would say this fits General Hospital. One life to live,
As the
maybe
world
as well.
turns.
Not so much all my children. So here we go. Reaction or no action. Very simple after all that. The Minnesota Vikings will win the NFC North.
Reaction. I'm just going to stick with my personal belief.
Here we go.
Is that Aaron Rodgers is stubborn enough and doesn't like the Packers enough that he will sit out this season, that they will not come to terms in any way, shape, or form. Adam Schefter has already told us that he has turned down an extension that would make him the highest paid player or quarterback in the NFL. So clearly money is not an issue here for Aaron Rodgers. He wants to get out of Green Bay as soon as possible. Now, part of his motivation for turning that down could be, I don't want to extend my contract with the Green Bay Packers. That, of course, could make things more difficult. But bottom line is, I don't think he wants to play another down for the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to still handicap that division that way. So if Rodgers is not, or if he is playing for Green Bay and is less than motivated to give his best or less than motivated to put the best tape out there for this team. I don't know if he would do that or not, but he's a mercurial type of guy.
Yes.
He's not the normal type of athlete quarterback that we see. So for whatever reason, I am just bearish on the Packers either getting Rodgers or the best version of Rodgers this season. That's why I think major regression coming for Minnesota Vikings team that I've been tailing you on this.
Positive regression.
Well, positive regression.
Oh,
Absolutely
yeah,
right.
buddy.
Positive regression for an offense that was already great last year with Jefferson, Thielen, and Dalvin Cook.
Top 5 all the way.
getting fans back into US Bank Stadium, which I think is the best home field advantage in that division. Yes, that includes Lambeau Field when fans are there. Then all the investments Mike Zimmer is making into a defense. His calling card, by the way, that was garbage relative to his expectations last year. Getting guys like Danielle Hunter back, all the additions they made on that defense, getting Darisaw in the draft as well. So this is just a team, I think, Minnesota, that even if Rodgers plays, I think they can beat the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North.
I'm with you on the reaction. I completely agree. We're hearing through the trusty earpiece that Adam Schefter's reporting that an extension could still be reached between the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. And that would be important for the Packers because if you get something done with Rodgers, you're going to free up some space to take care of Devontae Adams and get him his long-term deal so you can keep those two peas in a pod together for the foreseeable future. Whether or not Rodgers plays for the Packers, I like the Vikings to win the division. The offense is there. Now, you can say what you want about Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. I'm not worried about the playoffs.
Right.
I'm just worried about winning the division, winning 10 or more games this season, making the playoffs, because those are all bets I'm going to make. Mike Zimmer, a defensive mind, has been saying since the end of last season that last season was the worst defense the guy has ever had. So what did the Vikings do? They went out and they addressed the defense. Dalvin Tomlinson, Patrick Peterson, Mackenzie Alexander, among others. The defense will be better. The offense is already good. They've got a third-place schedule. There shouldn't be a whole lot more we need to lay out for you in this scenario. The Vikings are going to be good. Good enough to take on the Packers, that's what we're betting. And if Rodgers is there, it's going to be tight. But if he's not, good bet to make. All right. Speaking of the National Football League, let's talk props. Our friends at Caesars William Hill continue to roll out betting options for the upcoming 2021 season. We talked about quarterback props on Daily Wager last week. We are going to talk about running back and wide receiver props right now. 45 days until that first Thursday. 45 days when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will host the Dallas Cowboys to kick off the season on September 9th. So let's start with the running back position. Of all the options you were sorting through over the weekend, whether it's a touchdown prop or a yardage prop, who do you like?
Well, how about a Dallas Cowboy running back?
Look at this guy.
Since that's where the season starts.
Look at the segue.
Ezekiel Elliott, 9.5 rushing touchdowns is the number, and I would go over that with Zeke in the proverbial best shape of his life. And if you see it on Twitter, he does look kind of lean. He's got the six-pack back. He's looking like he's ready to go out there and ball.
He's a thick dude. It's a six-pack, but it bulges out as well.
Well,
it's a six-pack on top of a keg.
That's what allowed him for the first few years of his career to lead the NFL in rushing attempts basically every year. You got to be able to take a beating, and Zeke has been able to do it. But he looks good. That's not the point here. The point is, if Zeke stays healthy, and this Dallas Cowboys offense produces like it did with Dak Prescott, and we projected to do with a healthy Dak Prescott back, and oh, by the way, All-Pro left tackle Tyron Smith, All-Pro guard Zach Martin back, and right tackles Lyle Collins, who I think has been a Pro Bowler as well.
Very
the
good.
Offensive line, although not the elite level that it was when Travis Frederick was there with those three guys, should still be top half, maybe top third of the league. And then you add Zeke's career rates, which over a 17-game season would equal 11 touchdowns. I think he averages 0.68 touchdowns per game in his career, something like that. But over 17 games, it would be 11 TDs. And this fact, Dak Prescott was one of the best TD vultures at the quarterback position in all of the NFL over the last 5 years. Over his first 5 years of his NFL career, he averaged 24, he scored 24 rushing touchdowns, 6 each his first 3 years. Now, I have to imagine Dak is going to be a little less aggressive with his legs this season than he has been in the past, especially in the red zone. And Zeke, more so than Tony Pollard, is the goal line short yardage back for this team. So if they're going to score a lot of touchdowns, Dak Prescott's going to be healthy, then I think a lot of that TD equity is going to reside in Ezekiel Elliott. I think he has a double-digit touchdown season. That's all we need, 10, to cash this ticket. I think 9.5 is a little low based on what I laid out there.
I like where you're at. It always comes down with Elliott. Is he focused? Is he in shape? And is he ready to go? And if he is, you're going to get a good effort from him this season. I like where you're at. I am going to go with Damien Harris, New England Patriots running back, under 850.5 rushing yards. You might ask why? It's the New England Patriots. Do I really need to say more? Anyone who's played fantasy knows that it's the hardest backfield to handicap year in and year out. Case in point, I want you to look at the last 10 years of New England running back production. The leading rusher for the New England Patriots over the last 10 years has averaged 840 rushing yards per year. They're not even averaging 1,000 yards as a rusher. And in those 10 years, they've only had 5 instances where their leading rusher has eclipsed this total, which is 850 yards. There are a lot of years where their leading rusher is at 760 yards, one year where it was less than 600 yards, I believe. They don't like to use a primary back. We've seen it with Corey Dillon in the past, LeGarrette Blount a few years ago, but it's not the norm. It's the outlier. Remember something. Sony Michel is still on this team. He was a first-round pick in 2018. Led the team in rushing in 2018. Led the team in rushing in 2019. Why didn't he lead the team in rushing last year? Oh, yeah, he got a quadriceps injury that knocked him out for 6 games. It opened the door for Damien Harris, and Harris ran through it. But you factor in Michel, you factor in James White, who's still on the roster, Cam Newton, who ran the ball, I think, 137 times last year as well. I don't see the opportunities there, even with the 17th game. Damien Harris under 850.5 rushing yards.
Does that change, though, if Mac Jones is the quarterback from week 1? If we know Cam Newton's going to be the backup from the very, very beginning, does that alter your handicapping there? Because I agree, if Cam Newton, who I think is going to start more games, is in the backfield, has taken a lot of rushing equity away from guys like Harris.
I would say that worries me a little. What worries me more is with the injury to the Rams, Sony Michel or James White, but specifically Michel getting traded to the Rams. That would worry me even more because there is some talk that maybe one of those guys could be traded, although Darrell Henderson looks like the guy now. Keep an eye on those over props. They're not going to play him at all in the preseason, which means they are very, very much making sure that this guy is going to stay healthy. All right, wide receiver props. All your options. Wide receiver yards, wide receiver touchdowns. What's it going to be?
Let me go to my LA Rams.
Here we go.
Because that's a team I know well. And Robert Woods, 1,000 and a hook. He's got to get 1,001 yards to go over, and I think he should do that this year. That's what I would play. Here are the reasons why. In his Rams career, with Jared Goff as the QB, he's averaged 69 receiving yards per game over 17 games. That's 1,173 yards. So
very healthy.
172.5 yard cushion there. Okay. He has averaged 1,017.5 yards in his 4 years in LA. Now, the biggest reason why I think he's the better bet than someone like Cooper Kupp is because Woods has not missed a game due to injury since 2017.
Very healthy.
He is also the wide receiver that Sean McVay puts on the field more than any other wide receiver. Last year, he played 90+% of the offensive snaps in 10 of 16 games. 63% of the games, he played 90+% of the offensive snaps. He's the most well-rounded wide receiver of the bunch, who Sean McVay wants on the field the most because he can run routes deep, intermediate, and short. He can block, and he can take jet sweeps and handoffs. So he will be on the field, I trust, more than Cooper Kupp, Deshaun Jackson, and rookie Tutu Atwell. And then finally, the quarterback upgrade.
Yes,
Matt Stafford in for Jared Goff. Oh, their bell cow running back just got hurt for the year, Cam Akers, so maybe more passing equity moves to Stafford and those wide receivers. So based on all of those factors, I think Woods is the smart bet to go over 1,000 yards for the Rams this season if Matthew Stafford pulls the trigger.
Let's hope Stafford likes him, but I like where you're at with that. Based on everything we've seen historically, the upgraded quarterback specifically, that's a great wager. I am going to look at Keenan Allen from the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll keep it in the City of Angels, over 1,050.5 receiving yards. This is a great buy low spot for Allen, who had 992 receiving yards last year. That was after 3 straight seasons of 1,190 yards or more, right? So he goes 3 straight years, 1,190 or more, boom, boom, boom. Then all of a sudden drops to 992. What happened? Oh, a rookie quarterback. A rookie quarterback who was good, but remember, it takes some time. And one thing you notice with Allen, his yards per reception drop. That'll happen with a rookie quarterback. Less likely to throw the ball down the field on a more consistent basis. Well, Herbert now has 15 starts under his belt. He's coming into this season with that experience, and he's worked with Keenan Allen for an entire year. So we're talking about lowering this number all the way to 1050 and a hook. And by the way, adding a 17th game, I think he goes over. This is a good bounce back spot. Find the guys who for some reason last year either had a really great year or a really bad year. Find a good reason for why that won't happen again, and then boom, bet the other way the following year.
Very bullish on Keenan Allen. I think one of the perennially underrated wide receivers in the NFL when it comes to his just natural ability. And I think him and Justin Herbert, especially with the new coaching staff that I think is going to be smart about getting the ball into their best weapons' hands. Big on Keenan Allen, big on Austin Eckler as well in that LA Charger offense.
Speaking of weapons, we were led to believe that Team USA Basketball had several of them, and maybe they in fact do, but it wasn't the case Sunday early morning against the French. Team USA Hoops debuts, and you picked the French last week plus the points. They were 12-point favorites, and they lose 83-76 in the opening round. before we talk about Wednesday's game against Iran, just in general, they're still minus 250 to win the gold. Do you like them at that price? Do you still dislike them? How are you approaching these guys?
I have been steadfast in my belief that Team USA, for a number of reasons, in this specific instance of 2021 Olympics in Tokyo, coming off a season that succeeded a COVID season in the NBA, all these things have added up to make them a full fade for me. I have, ever since I watched that first exhibition game that they lost, I have been on this train full fade, and they are 0-4 ATS with those 3 exhibition games and now this game against France. First of all, our best players are not there. No LeBron, no Steph Curry, no Klay Thompson, no Carmelo, D-Wade, like that core that made up the group of dominant Team USA for the past decade, not there. Chemistry issues then with all these new pieces and the international game differences. Like, it's not an NBA game, different court dimensions. And the teams that they are playing are used to playing together, Team France, Team Australia, and they're used to playing those players more so on the international game. The rest of the world has just caught up significantly to the United States basketball, especially when you're not bringing your A stars. When you're not bringing your A stars, you're bringing your B-minus stars. Yeah. The rest of the world has caught up and closed that gap significantly from the 90s, early 2000s. So are they tired? Are they unmotivated? Is Pop not a good international coach? I don't know. All I know is, from now until the end of these Olympics, Team USA basketball, a full fade for me.
Won't be going as far as to fade them in every game like you, but I'm not going to be betting on them. I'm just going to use my eye test, right? Let's use our eyes here, people, and let's worry about nothing else. When we saw them in the exhibitions, they didn't look good. When we see them in action, when it actually counts, they don't look good. That's it. They don't look good. There's no reason for me to lay 250 on them to win the gold when, wait for it, they don't look good on a regular basis. Maybe I end up being wrong, but I'm not investing in this. What has given me a reason to invest in it? So let's talk about an investment we might be able to make. Next game is Wednesday, July 28th. It's at 12:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a basketball game. The U.S. is laying, wait for it, 41.5 points with a total of 166 against Iran. 41.5. Are you laying it? Are you taking it? Are you playing the total?
I'm passing.
Give me something.
I'm passing.
No, unacceptable.
Well, okay, I'm either taking the points in my pocket with Iran, which
Betting
I
Iran.
don't want to do because it's Iran basketball.
I don't think there's a lot of NBA players on that team.
Unlike the French team or the Australian team, I would have to look. I'm going to guess over under half an NBA player on Iran. I'm under a half there. So this is at least one country that doesn't have what Australia, Slovenia, France has, NBA talent. So the number is massive. I don't like Team USA, but I don't want to bet on Iran. That's why I will pass. But once they come play a team that has at least 2 or 3 NBA players, full fade on Team USA, buying the competition.
Backdoor situation here is scary.
Yeah.
So I might look, if you give me a first half line, maybe Team USA, but what am I laying? 20 in the first half? I think they jump on them early, good bounce back spot. So I'd look at something like a first half line when we eventually get them, but that's it, and not for much. Finally, the total in this game is 166. If you work your way through the FIBA tiebreakers, you get to like the third one, point differential becomes a thing. So would you be more inclined to maybe bet the over here, knowing that Team USA might want to run it up? Or conversely, they could just play really excellent defense and lock down Iran and still have their point differential?
No, I don't want to bet on this team. They have given me nothing in terms of hard concrete trends that you can buy into. It's a mishmash group of players that may be tired, that doesn't understand the game maybe as well as their international competition. I just want nothing to do with Team USA. You can call me whatever you want, Benedict Arnold. That's fine.
You've been anti-American since we have started talking about the Olympics 3 weeks ago. Every pick is against the Americans.
It's not good.
All right, so let's make our transition into the NBA, which some of these players you're going to recognize the names from Team USA. MVP odds hit the market last week. Take a look at some of the top options coming into next season. Luka Doncic, no surprise, he's your favorite at plus 425. The numbers are there. His team needs to win. Joel Embiid last year at one point was 60-1, plus 650 after his huge season. Kevin Durant fully healthy. Giannis, your 2-time MVP at 8-1. Steph Curry, a 2-time MVP at 9-1, and on down the list. So we're going to ask a few questions here. Let's start with this. Of the names on that list, who would you be willing to invest in?
One that interests me is Trae Young at 20-1, but the name I want to discuss is LeBron James at 10-1. I think there's some meat on that bone for LeBron James because we know this is a narrative-driven award. And LeBron just had, one of those seasons where people are starting to doubt him. Is he the hashtag wash king? He cares more about Space Jam 2. He needs Anthony Davis. All these things are coming out, narratives about LeBron James. And he reads social media. He hears these things. He knows these things. Remember when LeBron and AD were healthy before injuries derailed the Lakers season? They were the #1 team in the West.
Very good. Very good.
He was right there with Jokic and Embiid as one of the top 3 MVP candidates. So with motivation, with a juicier odds at 10-1, because last year, before the season, was like 4 or 5-1,
very
something
short,
like that. It was much shorter than this. I love that price for someone who I think is going to buy into wanting to prove the doubters wrong. And again, before he got hurt, LeBron was playing in every single game, just like Nikola Jokic last year. He was giving us that narrative of, I'm going to be available every single game. So I like LeBron at 10-1 because of that price.
Give me Damian Lillard from that first list at 12-1. I'm going to try to get ahead of the market. Now, if he stays in Portland, he'll put up big numbers and he'll still have a chance. But 12-1, I don't like. He ends up in a place like Philadelphia, playing in Ben Simmons' role, but with Joel Embiid. He's now on the East Coast. More people will be able to watch Game Time. Not everyone's staying up late on a Wednesday night to watch Portland battle Sacramento, right? So more of the narrative, Lifetime Achievement Award type thing. Plus, if Philly's nasty, he's going to get the credit for being the reason why. So 12-1, I'm trying to get ahead of the move. Same reason I play the Sixers at 8-1.
Also more likely to be available for more games than someone like Joel Embiid if he ends up in Philly.
Absolutely.
Because of Embiid's injury history.
Longer shot. Go off the first page. What do you think?
50-1.
50.
Ja Morant. Can I interest you in some Ja Morant?
He's the type of guy that can get close to triple-double numbers on a nightly basis. If the Grizz, they got to win more games. We know the criteria.
So basically, we need Memphis to be this year's version of the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Make a massive leap from that fringe just outside the postseason to a top 4 team in the West, which I'm not saying they're going to do, but I think there are some pieces there that can allow it, especially if Ja makes a Trae Young-like leap and has a 25-10-5 type season. You're going to get highlight plays from Ja Morant.
Yeah, you are.
Like those Heisman-worthy plays. You're going to get that from Ja. He's the unquestioned best player on that team, but there's other good players around that can help lift Memphis into a top 4 seed, again, at their absolute ceiling. He's got a likable persona as well. So at 50-1, if they are just massively overachieve, I like Ja at that price.
All right, I will take a shot on Jason Tatum at 30-1. It feels like Tatum is on the verge of superstar status. If you look at what he did last season, career highs in points, career highs in rebounds, career highs in assists, career highs in field goal percentage. The Celtics are going to make some moves. They could be a team that's right back in contention. And if he continues his upward trajectory, he's going to be right there in the discussion. New narrative, fresh flavor, all that good stuff. Jason Tatum at 30-1. He's a guy I liked last year, but COVID derailed him. Sure. He's one of the outspoken guys that has said he has not fully recovered from that. So I got to hope he bounces back a little bit more next season, but he did put up big numbers. Quickly, Zion Williamson is 40-1. Last year we saw Embiid at 60-1, and then he came crashing all the way down. Could Zion be this year's Joel Embiid, where next year at this time, Zion's sitting at like 8-1?
He's definitely good enough. I don't think his team will be good enough. I think Zion's going to put up 28 points on 65% from the field, 8, 9, 10 rebounds, give you those highlight plays. But the team is not good enough. I'd rather invest in a Memphis team I think is going to be better than New Orleans.
Yeah, and that's the key here. Zion will put up the numbers.
He's going to have the MVP
will put up
numbers.
the numbers.
Yes.
Will the team win enough games to get basically into the top 4? Because that's where you need to be. You got to win games.
I don't see how it depels.
Final segment of the day, it's called Diamond Dollars as we return to the aforementioned Diamond. I have been eliminated from this game for quite some time. I lost all my money like a month ago, and yet every time I pick, now I'm winning. So I have no money, but now I'm winning. You have money.
$30.
Struggled a bit last week. 0 for 1. No big deal. You still have $30. You're still alive here. So what are you thinking for tonight?
I'm going to go back to an old faithful. That got me off to a great start before the season started, all right? And that is the Chicago White Sox on the run line against a left-handed pitcher. Chicago in Kansas City taking on a bad Royals team. Mike Minor on the bump. We know what the Chicago White Sox have done against left-handed pitching. 4th in Major League Baseball in average, on-base percentage, and OPS against lefties. And they have the better lefty on the bump, Dallas Keuchel. Mike Minor, I'd rather have Keuchel.
Okay.
And big boost for the lineup. Big bat Eloy Jimenez will be back, and according to Tony La Russa, in the lineup tonight for the Chicago White Sox. So that lineup that's dealt with a lot of injuries.
Tons of injuries.
Starting to get healthier. Here's one of those key pieces. Plus 125 on the run line. We got to win by 2. But Keuchel, go out there and shove a little bit. Welcome back to the show, Jimenez. Hit a bomb or 2 for me, Eloy. Let's get a 2-run victory for the White Sox and get back closer to $50.
Like the kid in Seinfeld talking to Kramer. Can you get Paul O'Neill to hit 2 home runs? Yeah, sure. Paul O'Neill. How'd you get in here anyway? Oh, great episode. I, with no money, but apparently I've won a couple weeks in a row, I'm going to go to the under in the Seattle Mariners Houston Astros matchup tonight. The right-hander Luis Garcia is going to go for Houston. He's been fantastic this year. 2.86 ERA. He gave up a season-high 4 earned runs against Baltimore, of all teams, back on June 30th. Since then, he's made 2 starts, 1 earned run, 5 hits over 15 innings pitched against 2 good teams. Houston won both those games. Now, Seattle is going to trot out Darren McCacken. He's only made one career start in the major leagues, but it was a very good one. He gave up 1 earned run over 5 innings. There's not a lot of tape. There's not a big scouting report. Could be an issue for Houston early in the game trying to hit him. 9 runs total, -120 on the juice. I'll play the under here, considering the
Release the McCacken.
Release the McCacken. I'll get that name right by Daily Wager, which is today, 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Bet. We love you very much for it. We're back Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here. Same bat time, same bat channel.